your take on the importance of social media, or is it really just very simplistic?
I think it's profound in the sense that you're sort of in multiple places, at least in your mind, and that kind of parallel processing, which used to be just looking at, passive things, and we all, said, oh God, kids multitask. We didn't. We sort of. And there are going to be some victims, maybe long-form writing will be a victim, maybe a couple of other things, but I don't think human relations will be the victim. I think people find that even though we joke about, going to a restaurant and seeing 4 people each on their cell phone, the truth is you can clear away a lot of things that we used to do in much more lockstep obedience. I went upstairs to do something for the next hour, and now it sort of gets pushed aside, and dinner lasts longer, and spend a lot of things have gotten better as well as maybe taken a hit. And I think the general way I would describe the effect of social media is that life used to be a fried egg, with a very distinct white and a very distinct yolk and pretty crisp edge around the middle. Now life is an omelet, and the omelet theory of life, has, again, it's good and it's bad, but things are so integrated that you, I think, get the opportunity to have a richer life and do, it's not just that you're working 24/7, but that the integrative nature of it is such that a lot of those relationships go up, not down.
16 years since Being Digital came out.
Mm-hmm.
Really probably the first book addressing our digital lives. Mm-hmm. You also were really one of the early funders and writers in Wired magazine, mm-hmm. when it was an important magazine.
First issue was printed on my credit card.
When you look back, would you change any of the content that you were presenting to the world in either your early Wired columns or the content of Being Digital?
Well, maybe one should, but I have a belief that you shouldn't, because it reflects the times, and what was written then was what at least I thought then. And for whatever merit that may have, to go back and be a revisionist is I don't think, as interesting. I think it'd be much more sort of important for somebody to read a story written in 1992 and sort of have the 1992 view. And even if you say, well, he was forward-thinking or something, it still was a 1992 view. And when we founded Wired magazine, the first few issues, you can go back and read them and smile at some of the errors and some of the things, but in general, it was a thing of the times. I remember, I wasn't full-time by any means, but I'd spent a lot of time in San Francisco, and the offices were popping, and people were, doing things. And one story I remember is that there were maybe 10 people working at Wired, and they took turns answering the phone, basically being the receptionist for an hour. Once each person took a shift, and Louis Rossetto, who was the editor-in-chief, it was his turn. He was on a phone, and somebody called him. It was a pretty angry father that their 15-year-old had given up his subscription to Sports Illustrated to sign up for Wired instead. And he said, "Are you some porno magazine?" And it had leaked into the culture for young people subscribing to it, which was a great boost. And it was really, it was for me a fun era. And I remember I live in Greece as much as I can during the summer. And the president of MIT at the time, there was some threat that Congress was going to pass a bill to make all the research money from DARPA go to the government labs, which would have been, first of all, stupid, but it would have been a real hit at a place like MIT. And so this certain number of the senior faculty were asked to join a conference call. And he said, well, there are 12 of us, or 15 of us. And he said, well, what we're going to do is we're all going to call senators and congressmen and so on and so forth to make sure this is. And he goes through and he allocates all the people. And he said, Nicholas, and you're going to call Al Gore and Kennedy and Markey. And he gives me, I said, Chuck, why are you giving me all these hard ones, the big ones? And he said, because they're going to answer your call, because they're going to think you're calling from Wired. So